Stand Your Ground laws are an effective way to stop violent crimes. By Myra Susid and Amanda Jones. What is the self-defense justification? The justification of self-defense contains four basic elements. Necessity. The use of force must be necessary to prevent or defend against imminent threat. Reasonable belief. Reasonable belief that the use of force is needed to repel a threat of death or serious bodily injury. Imminent threat. Threatened attack must be imminent. Proportionality. Reasonable force is used to repel the attack. The amount of force used to defend against an unlawful attack must be proportionate to the perceived amount of force being used against the defender. Both the duty to retreat and stand your ground approaches proceed from the same core conception of self-defense and therefore have most foundational elements in common. The Castle Doctrine. It is not necessary to retreat from one's home in the face of an immediate threat, even where retreat is possible. The duty to retreat in the self-defense justification. The act or process of withdrawing from a dangerous situation. Many jurisdictions require that a person must have at least attempted a retreat, if it was possible to do so with safety, in order for a defense of self-defense to prevail. So as of today, there are 27 states that practice stand your ground laws. A person has no duty to retreat if the person is not the initial aggressor and is assailed in any public rightful space. So this can't be at home, merely where a person has the right to be. A person is presumed to have a reasonable fear of imminent death or serious bodily harm in cases where the person confronts an intruder who has entered or is attempting to enter the person's home. It was after this statute was passed that half of the states replaced the duty to retreat with this statute. Why the duty to retreat is unjust. Stand your ground laws more accurately reflect human nature under the stress of imminent attack and the fear of death. The duty to retreat is unjust because it is based on unrealistic assumptions about the human capacity to act rationally under severe emotional stress. The limbic system of the brain, which controls basic emotions including fear and anger, can overwhelm the rational faculties in times of great stress, and such emotional flooding may drive an individual's decision in ways of which even the individual is unaware. One may not intend to inflict deadly force upon an attacker. However, when it comes down to it, reacting to imminent danger is not always rational nor expected. Confusion about stand your ground laws. Stand your ground laws are not meant to defend those who do not reasonably believe that their life or limbs are in danger. There have been many cases where the defendant is acquitted due to different reasons that have nothing to do with stand your ground laws, yet the media continues to blame them due to the nature of the case. Such as the state of Florida versus George Zimmerman. The requirements to successfully claim self-defense with stand your ground laws were not fulfilled at all, yet the media still blames stand your ground laws. The importance of the initial aggressor rule. Under the stand your ground law, the initial aggressor has the duty to retreat before using deadly force against the other, even if they did not originally anticipate a deadly confrontation and ultimately killed only to save their own life. In a lot of the cases where the defendant was wrongly acquitted and the media blamed stand your ground laws, the initial aggressor was often wrongly identified. Self-defense requires reasonableness but not accuracy. A defendant's belief in the threat and the need for a deadly response must be both sincerely and reasonably held. However, it does not need to be accurate. Although there might be some concerns and counter-arguments toward this element of the stand your ground law, it is important to remember that this is a basic element of the legal self-defense claim, and it has been so since the 17th century. Even more importantly, feeling threatened by the mere presence of a person relatively close to someone does not establish reasonable grounds for killing that person. There are various requirements that must be fulfilled in order to claim the self-defense justification. Successfully justifiable homicides are low. Successful justifiable homicides are actually very low compared to the number of homicides that there are yearly. According to the Federal Bureau of Investigation in 2019, law enforcement reported 726 justifiable homicides. Yearly, there are about 16,425 homicides. So that's less than 4.5%. The reality is that acquittals on grounds of self-defense are very rare. Conclusion. Stand your ground laws are not always used the way they were intended to be used, and the media usually catches these mistakes and makes them public, generating a rather negative response towards these instances. However, we must remember that stand your ground laws represent the unexpected and irrational side of human nature under severely stressful situations. The duty to retreat and the no retreat, stand your ground approaches have long coexisted in American legal doctrine, and both are historically rooted in the English common law since the 17th century. There is a reason why stand your ground laws are favored by the majority of states and have been for a long time. Not to mention that these laws enhance personal safety and protection of individual rights to self-defense, the right to bear arms as proclaimed in the Second Amendment of the Constitution.